G'day fellas, welcome back to another episode in the improvement checklist. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Chinese. This is a build order that you can be doing on land and water in team games as well as 1 versus 1. Let's get into it. We're going to start by moving all of our villagers over onto the food crates and going to move our goat out of the way because otherwise he kind of gets a little bit stuck in the way. I'll show you what I mean. Just like that. And then Explorer's going to come out over here onto the monitor lizard. We're going to go do a bit of exploring and then get our first villager in queue. We're going to begin doing a little bit of, herding right there. And just make sure that we move out. So, we got another wood treasure here. So, in this game, I'm going to be taking the wood treasures just primarily because it really makes a difference. So, I encourage you, if you're playing, be searching for wood treasures, just simply because they're going to make your life a lot easier doing this build order with China. So, typically with China, what you want to be doing is going for a triple, get this, a triple village opening. So it seems like it's quite a lot of villages. That is because it is a lot of villages. But the idea is, essentially, you want to be getting out your early villages as quickly as possible. So you want to get up to 3 villages. And you want to get them out as quickly as possible. So we're going to drop down a village over here. We might drop a village just right next to that one as well, like that. And so now we're just going to gather up our resources for the next one, and we've got ourselves another 60 wood treasure here. I'm kind of tempted just not to take this at all, just simply because if we do take... you know what, we'll just take it. I'll show you guys exactly the power of this build order just here. And so now we've got those 2 villages up. And so that is a 60, I think it was. So let's have a look at that. So I think that's 60 wood. And so we might just keep the villagers in our base. So the timing that you want to be looking for sending in this shipment here is you need to be putting down your village by halfway. So our village wasn't going to be going down by halfway. If we wanted to do that, it probably would have ended up in being delayed, or we would have had to put extra villagers onto it as a result. And so what we've done is we've just cancelled it. We've just made sure that, it's better safe than sorry. You don't want to miss out on those villagers because obviously when it comes to this card, the earlier that you can send your villagers in, the better. But at the same time, it's important that you don't go or that you don't lose a village. So we're going to be getting out 4 villages here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th villager going to be popping here. We go from 11 up to 15 villages. Now, you might be wondering, all right, Drongo, that's a little bit crazy. Why are you doing that? What's the point in doing that? You know, you've chopped a lot of extra wood in the early game. And so the idea is that you're going to need to do that anyway if you're going to be rushing your opponent, or at least putting on early pressure. So it makes sense to just try and get it out earlier, especially when you've got extra wood treasures like the ones that I did. You saw that I started with a 35 as well as another 35. Then I moved down and there was I think a 60 wood down here. So a really, really nice early game when it came to all the treasures. Now, keep in mind, one of the things that you want to do as well is you want to make sure that you leave space for your wonder. So your wonder is going to be coming down. So our wonder is probably going to be placed right here. So that's where we're going to be leaving space for it. Now, we've got a goat that we can be using to get up a little bit earlier, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be saving that. We're going to just save it for a rainy day. I think that might be the best bet. I'm going to continue scouting out. And don't be afraid to go idle if just when you're about to age up. That's absolutely okay. So you can see that we're about to go idle right here. So going to be going up with the Summer Palace. We'll drop the Summer Palace down, and we're going to be putting on 4 villages. So we've got all 4 going on there. Then once we've got that first villager in queue, so there we go. So we've got our first villager in queue. So now we're going to be transitioning over the appropriate amount of villagers over onto wood. And so ideally what you want is 5 villagers on food. That's it. And then every other villager is on wood. So during this transition period, what we're going to be doing is saving up enough resources so that we can drop a consulate. And so we're going to be going for the German consulate. Now, this build, I've mentioned him before, was popularized by a player by the name of Mito. So Mito is an incredibly good player. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the most recent Global Championship tournament, he made it all the way to the final. I'm not going to say whether or not he won, because you might be curious to know yourself, but it was up against H, so it was a wonderful series that the two played against each other. And so now in this transition period, you can see that we are beginning to close in upon that all-important 200 resources. So now we're dropping down that consulate, so the consulate costing the 200 wood, and just continuing to train those villagers just one at a time. And we might do a little bit of herding now. So I'm going to send out a villager up here. Might send a villager over this way as well. And so those villagers are going to be providing us with a little bit of herding, and we might even send these 2 villagers out to just start by building that forward base. And first shipment is going to be 700 wood. Going to make sure that we pick up these food crates as well with our villagers, and begin herding. So there it is. So now we're herding on in. We've got these 2 villagers that we're going to be dropping down our forward base with. So our war academy is about to go up any second now. There we go. So that's the war academy that's going to be going up. Make sure that we fix up these villages here. You can see we've still got quite a few that are on wood at the moment, and now going to be going with the German consulate. Make sure that we continue just to herd in at this point. And so we forgot to switch over our summer palace. Normally we want to make it on the Old Hand army, but that's okay. It's not a problem at all. So now we're going to get a whole bunch of villagers out over here, and we're going to make sure that we are dropping down our second war academy, and we're going to make sure that we try and queue. There's that first queue coming in, and now we're going to wait for our trickle. So we need 250 to get our trickle, and then after that we're going to be seeing 600 coin. And now we're going to be moving all of our villagers over onto food. Now, not all of them. We're going to keep maybe 4 or 5 just on wood, just to try their best to you know, get out those units slowly trickling in. But we can see just, you know, how incredible this early economy is. We've got 2 sets of units that are in queue right now, so a pretty decent economy, I would say. Just making sure that we're always herding in though. Really important to keep our hunts on the way in. They're in a pretty poor position at the moment, but we'll do our best to try and get them in. And now we've got more that we can pick up. Now I've neglected to pick up that big wood right there, but we're going to continue. And so now we've got double batches that are coming out, and we're going to drop down a forward village that's going to go down, continuing to make double batches of units as well. So you can see that our batches are quite good, especially up against someone like Sweden. We could begin burning down torps at this point, so starting to look very healthy, and making sure that we're continuing to herd in, because we're starting to get to the point where we're looking a little bit confused. Where are all of our resources? And so I like to keep my pikes as well as my crossbows in different control groups. And now from here we send in the crossbow shipment. That's going to very much bolster our economy. Our military, and we're going to switch over to Old Hand now. Step Riders can go for a little bit of a raid over to one side or to the other side, and we're going to slowly transition villagers out over onto wood, because we don't have those big wood shipments that we can send in anymore. And so our army is continuing to build. We're almost at the 8-minute mark, and you can just see how big this colonial army is getting. So this is the standard build order for when you're playing the Chinese. Guys, if you think I've missed anything, make sure you leave a comment. If you've liked this video, I encourage you to leave a like. But as you can see, it is an absolutely fearsome amount of units that come in, and I haven't shipped those Chokunu to the appropriate spot, but I'm sure you can imagine it looks pretty decent. 32 CKN at this point in the game, 21 pikes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.